Hi, and welcome to 3 tips to increase muscle this season. My name is Kim Lukart. I'm a registered dietitian and a sports nutritionist. I am also a hockey mom. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. By the end of this webinar, you will have 3 valuable tips to help your skater increase muscle this season, as well as one bonus tip I wanted to include. I just recently started practicing it with my younger son this past month, and it has really helped him increase his stamina on the ice. So without any further waiting, because I know your time is valuable, and it is lunchtime on the East Coast, so thank you for joining me if you are. If you're on the West Coast, good morning. And if you're overseas, good afternoon. So let me pull up my slides, and I'll be right back. Those of you that registered did receive a handout that'll go along with the slides. If you're reviewing this and you did not receive a handout and you would like one, you can email me at kim@hockeymomrd.com, and I will be happy to send you the handout. So let me go to my slides. So 3 tips to increase muscle this season. Who am I? As I said, I am a registered dietitian, I am a hockey mom, and I'm an author. You will see over here, that's myself and my 2 sons a little over a year and a half ago when my book Eat, Skate, Win was first published. You can find it on Amazon. It is a best-selling hockey book and winter sports book. I am extremely proud of the book and my boys. My sons are now both playing in the high school league in town. My youngest son is in the 7th grade, he's 13, and my oldest son just turned 15 this past week. So imagine if your skater could gain 30 pounds of muscle and finally outskate that player that made fun of him or her during the season. This actually happened to my younger son. Both my sons started playing ice hockey when they were 6 and 8. And my older son did experience some mild bullying, you could call it, on the ice. He was not as good as all the other players. He did not make the travel team straight out. And there were times when he'd get off the ice very discouraged and very upset that some of the other players were making fun of him. I kept on telling him just to keep trying and not to worry about it. And then I realized I could help him with his nutrition. And that is why I do what I do, why my passion is showing parents and players how great nutrition leads to great performance. And then another young man that was not my son, what if you had a son or daughter who was smaller than most of the players and was able to log the most number of on-ice minutes for their defensive position in their season, despite weighing 50 pounds less and being a whole head shorter than the other defensive players, plus that same season go on to win the #1 penalty killer award for the season? It happened. This young man now is a high school player himself, and I am very proud of his progress that he has made. He worked with me almost 2.5 years ago now. Your skater can accomplish these goals. It is possible. So ready, let's begin. After today's online training, you will have the hat trick ingredients to help and guide your player this season. So I am going to be following the worksheet that you have. So how do you build muscle? That is always the question when I am lecturing in my college classes. Everybody wants to know how to build muscle. But first of all, you need to think of food as fuel. So everything that we put in our mouths, everything that your player eats, I want you to start thinking about the food choices as being hockey strong or not hockey strong. Youth sports nutrition. When your player develops a solid youth sports nutrition plan, they will have success on the ice and in the classroom. And this is key here because so many of the young players that I work with, their goal is to earn a college scholarship. And when your son or daughter takes the time to pay attention to their nutrition, and you take the time, not only does your son or daughter benefit, the whole family benefits, and it does show up as progress on the ice and definitely in the classroom. And as you know, in order to earn a college scholarship, you must not only be a star hockey player, but you also must be a very good student. And I know that starting about the Pee Wee and Bantam years, some youth sports hockey teams make their players show them their report cards so that they can continue to play. So it goes hand in hand. What you're doing to make yourself a better hockey player with your food choices is also going to make you a better student in the classroom. So tip 1, you'll see it's kind of a fill in the blank worksheet. It's about consistency. Your player needs to eat at regular intervals and regular time. It's not enough to skip breakfast and skip lunch because they were quote unquote too busy and then try to load up with all your calories in the evening. You won't get the same results, and it could actually even result in weight gain for your skater, which will not help them on the ice. Why is number 1 important? Well, consistency and eating at regular times will help to develop championship eating / fueling habits. Often I like to refer to eating as fueling your body, so that your son or daughter will carry these habits for the rest of their hockey career. So if they're just a squirt or a peewee or even a mite, and they start to learn the small changes, that fruit is a really good food to eat before ice time and that they need some water before ice time, these are small changes that you can build on. And as they get older, add more and more nutrition information. And then by the time they're a bantam, they know what to eat and what not to eat. By the time they're a midget or a high school player, it should be a no-brainer. My older son will not eat pizza the night before, will not eat pizza the day of, will not eat donuts. He knows how it impacts him on the ice. He also knows that caffeine is something he must stay away from when he's playing. Tip number 2, I apologize, the slide the words got on top of each other. So you want to plate like a champion. And this is an example of the training plate. The blue is the carbohydrates, the lean are your, the red is your lean protein, and the green are your fruits and vegetables. You notice that I don't have fats listed here, but I am going to be speaking about fats. And when your hockey player chooses fats, it's important to choose the healthy fats. So the next few slides will probably clear up some questions. The carbohydrates you want to choose and get your player in the habit of choosing are fruits and vegetables, in particular the starchy vegetables like the potatoes, peas, lima beans. Those are starchier. They're going to have more carbohydrates than, say, the green beans, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, the tomatoes, the salad materials. While all of the vegetables are good, the starchy vegetables have more carbohydrates. However, you should eat a wide variety of those vegetables. Your breads, your rice, whether it's white rice, brown rice, or wild rice. Pastas, here again, it could be white pasta, it could be whole wheat pasta. Potatoes, white potatoes and sweet potatoes, different kinds of cereals. If you've heard me talk before, you know that I try to encourage you to look at your food labels and choose cereals that are 10 grams of sugar or less per serving. Oatmeal is also an excellent carbohydrate choice. It has some protein in it, pretzels and crackers. Now, when you're looking at crackers, you want to make sure that they're not Ritz crackers. Why not Ritz crackers? Ritz crackers are about 50% fat, and that will not help your player on the ice. That's something that I cover in my fueling lectures as far as pre-fueling and post-fueling. Ritz crackers are delicious. We have them in the house, but they are not something that my sons will eat before practice. So look at your crackers and make sure for every 100 calories, there's only about 3 grams of fat or less, so that you make sure you're choosing a lower fat cracker. I honestly would stick with the pretzels, and that way you won't accidentally choose a cracker that's too high in fat if your player wants those before practice. Carbohydrates should make up more than 50% of your player's food choices. This is because their muscles need carbohydrate-rich food for energy during their practice and to help them store glycogen in their muscles after practice. Carbohydrates are the body's go-to source for energy. Not only do their muscles need these carbohydrates, but their brain needs these carbohydrates to think. If you've ever if you can relate to having been on a diet or maybe going on a real crazy day where you haven't had time to eat and then you start to feel kind of spacey in your head, well, yes, your blood sugar may be low, but you don't have enough carbohydrates in your body to help your brain think. So more than 50% of your players' food should come from carbohydrate choices. And if you look back at that plate, you'll notice that the fruits and vegetables are carbohydrate-rich choices, as well as the other side of the plate that just said carbohydrates. So, well, about 60% of that plate has carbohydrates on it. The glycogen that I'm speaking of is, it's each muscle cell has its own like little fuel tank that stores glycogen, and it stores just a small amount. And during hockey practice, your player is going to use up that glycogen, especially if they are playing an hour or more at a high level. So once your player is a second-year Pee-wee, or really want to make sure that they are fueling with powerful, hockey-strong carbohydrate choices. Some lean protein choices include your chicken and fish chicken and turkey without the skin. Why no skin? Because skin is where the fat's in it. We're leading towards healthy fats and lower fat options for the speed on the ice and the endurance on the ice. Fish, lean cuts of beef and pork. Eggs are fine. Eggs are actually an excellent source of protein that stay with you for quite a while. One egg contains about 6 grams of protein, and that will keep the hungries at bay for over 2 hours. Beans such as your your black beans, your pinto beans, and your garbanzo beans, or your chickpeas, lentils. These are all good sources of protein and low-fat protein. However, I want to give you a word of caution. I've been talking a little bit about fat not being good before you get on the ice. Fiber is something that you should really watch. It can make your player double over with cramps if they eat the fiber-rich foods too close to mealtime. But today is about building muscle, so the focus is these top 3 things to do. So making sure that your player's eating at regular intervals, and then eating a good balance of the carbohydrate-rich foods, the lean protein foods, and then the fat foods that I'm going to be getting to. Proteins should make up more than 20% of your players' choices. It's hard to give a hard and fast number with youth athletes. They need protein to build, repair, and maintain their muscle tissue, but also remembering that they are youth athletes. They are growing children and adolescents. They have not fully matured, so their body needs a little bit more protein. Actually, an athletic child could need up to 2 to 3 times more protein than their non-athletic counterpart. So ensuring that these protein choices are good, hockey-strong protein choices will work to their advantage. And when it comes to the consistency, the studies for building muscle with protein show that eating protein throughout the day in smaller amounts, say 21 grams to 30 grams, 35 grams at a time is best, because your body needs to take it in and use it. So here again, if I have a college athlete, male or female, and they've been running all day long and they haven't had time to eat, and then at the end of the day, they look and they think back, they go, oh my God, I didn't have time to eat anything. I didn't eat any protein today. And they slam in all the protein they need for the day at one time. That is not going to benefit the muscles that they're trying to build. Having a little bit of protein with their breakfast, lunch, and dinner and their snacks, so it trickles in throughout the day, is going to be the best bet, along with the good carbohydrates and the healthy fats, and making sure it's enough calories so that they get what their body needs, so their body can do the work, they can make it through the practice, and because they're making it through the practice and stressing their muscles will grow. Healthy fats to choose from include some oils, canola oil, peanut oil, or olive oil. Now remembering, obviously, if you've got nut allergies in your family, no peanut oil. Nuts, different kinds of nut butters, almond butter. Sun butter is actually from sunflower seeds. I've heard some people say that's very good. Fatty fish like your salmon is an excellent fat, and avocados are rich in calories and also a healthy fat. Healthy fat should make up more than 20 to 30% of your player's food choices. So we're right about 20 to 30%. I should have left that more in there. Healthy fats are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. These are needed for healthy brain and heart development and functioning. And in addition, the sports research has shown that these fats help to increase your player's focus and reaction time on the ice, as well as focus in the classroom. So don't avoid these healthy fats. When I've given webinars on the benefits of omega-3s, it's really sad to report that the majority of children in the United States consume less than 100 milligrams of omega-3 fats each day, when most children that are aged 7 or 8 need at least 700 milligrams a day, and then your teens, males and females, are going to need anywhere from 1,000 to 1,600 milligrams of omega-3s a day. So if your family loves salmon, by all means use it. My boys like salmon cakes that I can make just from a can of salmon. It's a great inexpensive way. It costs $3 or less for a can of salmon. Yes, it has the bones and the skin in it, but you mash it up and make your salmon cakes. And one can for $3 will make about 5 or 6 salmon patties. And each of those patties has close to 1,500 milligrams of omega-3s in it. So it's an inexpensive way to get a big bang for your buck with great nutrition to help your hockey player. Tip 3 is focusing on hydration. You've heard it before. If you've heard any of my webinars, I'm always talking about water. Water is key. Their muscles are 79% water. The more muscle a player has on their body, the more water they need. Hydration begins in the morning before breakfast. If you can get your player just to drink a little bit. I have 2 different players. And that's my cat. That's my 19-year-old cat. My 15-year-old son starts the morning every day with close to 8 to 16 ounces of water. That's just the way he likes to wake up. I never told him to do it. It's just what he wants for his body, and he does it. My younger son does not like to drink water in the morning. He'll drink it during the school day and when he comes home. So don't force it, but as you educate your child and your youth hockey player on why it's important, that's when they start to listen. If you make it a you must do this and you must do that and you can't have this and you can't have that, then they're not so inclined to listen. But if you say, hey, did you know if your muscles are thirsty, you're not going to skate as fast as you want to skate? That's a better way to make them start listening. So here again, just like with the protein, you don't want to skip your water all day long and then, oh my gosh, right before you get on the ice, realize that I haven't had water and slam back a bunch of water. It's not going to benefit you, and it may even make you sick to your stomach. So a little bit throughout the day. Too much water can be dangerous, so ensuring that it's a little bit trickled in throughout the day and getting your player in the habit of checking the color of their urine. A pale yellow, like the color of pale lemonade, is good. They're keeping up with their hydration. If it gets dark, like the color of apple juice, they're behind in their hydration and they need to drink a little bit more. I like to use these 2 examples because it helps youth athletes pay attention while they're at school, and they can be actively involved in getting themselves ready for ice on the inside, even while they're at school. So what happens if your player isn't drinking enough water? Did you know that when your player is thirsty, they're already mildly dehydrated? And just a 1% decrease in the amount of water their body needs impacts their athletic performance on the ice. So if they're trying to level up their game and get more ice time, get the coach to notice them, make themselves stand out from the other players, if they go onto the ice thirsty, they are not doing themselves a favor. If muscles are thirsty, your player will experience decreased strength. If they're doing any off-ice training, they will experience decreased speed on the ice and decreased endurance. And if their brain is thirsty along with those thirsty muscles, they will not have the focus they need to concentrate on a drill or a play that they're trying to execute. And they may even have headaches, and it might not be the helmet. So there are times when my sons get off the ice and they say they have a headache. I instinctively will ask about the water, and then I'll see if the helmet can be adjusted anymore. Sometimes it's a combination of two. Sometimes the helmet needed to be adjusted. But sometimes it may be that they were very busy during their school day and they didn't take time to drink the water that their body needed before practice. And by all means, please make sure your son or daughter has their water bottle, or the coach has bottles of water on the ice so that they can take sips throughout practice. The American Academy of Sports Medicine recommends that they take a mouthful, so about 4 to 8 ounces every 15 to 20 minutes. So just kind of like wet your whistle. You don't have to stand there and drink a ton, but making sure it's available for your player because they sweat an awful lot. You've seen your son and daughter when they get off the ice, they're drenched. So the water coming out of their body needs to be replaced so their body can keep working. So how do all these three tie together? Being consistent, making sure they're eating the correct amount of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats that go with what their body needs, and making sure they're hydrating. They have a well-fueled, well-hydrated body that can get on the ice and work. And truly, when you get down to the mechanics of how a muscle grows, it is the working the muscle that makes the muscle grow. So when it's experiencing load and stress, the muscle will grow. It's kind of gross, but I'll use the example that I use in my college classes. If you look at veal versus, say, a deer, the veal calf is not allowed to exercise because their meat needs to be tender. Whereas if you hunt or you know someone who likes venison, that meat, that animal has been running and has been exercising, and the muscle is bigger and tougher and has to be cooked a different way. So I like to break it down into that because that's how our muscles are. If we're stressing it and we're working it and we're feeding our body properly, our muscles are going to grow. When my son gained 30 pounds the year that he was off the ice, he literally started weight training, and he was 4'11" and 74 pounds at 12. It was the beginning of 6th grade. And by the middle of 7th grade, just before soccer season began, he was 5'7" and 110 pounds. And so he was still a long drink of water, but he had gained a huge amount of muscle. And if you want to see him in action, you can visit HockeyMomRD.com, my website, and there is a video of him jumping on the soccer field. He goes from the ground to the top of the bleachers. He's very explosive. He still is to this day, and he's getting stronger and faster. So food makes a difference for them. So now the bonus tip. I'm very passionate about this. That's my younger son a couple years ago when his Pee Wee team won the silver medal at the Hemby Cup in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm sorry, my cat is being so noisy. He has allergies. He does not have asthma, but he takes Zyrtec every night. And there was a time in his life when he struggled with eczema. And on and off, he's had these episodes where he couldn't breathe very well, and he would get over them. And about a month and a half ago, I did a webinar about food dyes, and I gave away a fueling basket. Some of you may remember that. And I focused on all the different colors that are in our food. Well, during my research for that webinar, I found out some information about yellow number 5 that absolutely floored me. Yes, I am a dietitian. I know that my sons are kids. We have ice cream in the house. We have chips in the house. They drink soda from time to time. They are normal children with a lot of extra information about nutrition and fueling that most kids don't get on a daily basis. And when I found out what yellow number 5 was doing, I immediately told my 13-year-old son that he couldn't have it anymore. And the next slide will show you why. All the way back in 1985, in the Journal of Pediatrics. It's the Journal of the American Pediatrics. They describe the following side effects of yellow number 5. Acute bronchospasms or increased bronchial reactivity, also known as asthma. Urticaria, hives, and angioedema, generalized tissue swelling. And even earlier, the author, Cesarni, I hope I'm not butchering the name, back in 1978, described the bronchoconstriction of yellow 5 as similar to aspirin in aspirin-sensitive asthmatics. When this finding came out in 1985, so that is more than 30 years ago now, or right at 30 years, the FDA mandated that yellow number 5 be listed on our food label. However, the doctors really don't tell you that you might want to look at yellow number 5. Now, I'm not going to make a blanket statement. There are probably some doctors out there that do know this and encourage proper nutrition with their patients. But I had to get this out there because when Duncan stopped using yellow number 5, it made a huge difference. Now, the first week, it was kind of sad because we went to the candy aisle and he stood there and he crossed his arms and he said, "I can't eat any of this candy." And he was right. I looked down and I saw the sugar babies. I said, "You can eat those." Now I know there's caramel coloring in them, but you got to take the good with the bad. And when you've got a child who still wants something and you know that yellow 5 is going to impact their breathing and their stamina, I go with the caramel right now, and we're just working with that. So about a couple weeks into not using any yellow number 5 whatsoever, he says he feels so much better on the ice. What can he enjoy? He loves his Funyuns. They have to be the original Funyuns. Read your labels. There are some Funyuns that do have yellow number 5 in them. He can have his Fritos corn chips. He can have potato chips, popcorn, goldfish. I'm so thrilled with the Pepperidge Farm Company. Goldfish are 100% no trans fats, and they do not use any artificial food dye in those goldfish. He can have chocolate candy, and he can have his caramel candy, and his favorite soda used to be it used to be Mountain Dew, but Mountain Dew is rich in yellow number 5, so now it is Dr. Pepper. I'm going to take a sip of water there. So he can still enjoy the candies and the chips that kids have, but he has also learned the great impact that yellow 5 has on his body. And he stays away from it now because he sees what a better skater he is on the ice. He doesn't get winded anymore. He doesn't have to get off the ice and catch his breath. And it's all from getting yellow 5 out of his diet. I kid you not. So if you want more, I'm very excited about this. It's going to be the first time I hold it. It's it's a weekend course. Get the competitive edge in a weekend. During this weekend, you will learn, and your player will learn how to increase speed and endurance. Your player or you will create their very own individualized pre- and post-fueling playbook by the end of the weekend. You'll have decreased stress about tournament weekends coming up because you will have planned and you'll understand, and it'll all be written out and organized for you, what to pack, when to eat, before and after the games. And you'll have peace of mind knowing that your skater is prepared. You won't have to guess. I'm going to be holding this weekend on Saturday, January 9th, and Sunday, January 10th. I'm holding it specifically before the Martin Luther King Day tournaments. I know those are big tournament weekends. People go all over the place, the Brickyard Tournament, the Golden Puck Tournament. There are too many to name. Those are the two that come to mind for me. During this weekend, it's actually not a weekend. It consists of 6 phone calls with me. So there will be 2 phone calls to get you ready and make sure you have all the information on how to listen in on the webinars, how to download the workbook that you'll need for my course, to make sure you have the template that you'll be filling out so that your player can make their pre- and post-fueling personalized plan. So there will be 1 on the Wednesday, 1 on the Friday, and then there'll be 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'd like to attend this, but I can't, we're going to be at hockey, I understand that completely. Everything will be recorded, so you will have access to the links to re-listen, and you can play it over and over again to make sure you understand it. However, it is best to attend live if you can. You'll be able to ask me questions in person, and you can always ask me questions via email. Get the Competitive Edge in a Weekend course. It's valued at $147. However, if you register during this webinar, your investment is only $77. And then I'm going to pull up the link over here. Just a minute. Let's see. So you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. Okay. So you can click on the right to register, and it'll take you to the link. If you register when you're listening to the replay, the fee will still be, your investment will still be $77 for the remainder of today, so until midnight tonight. After that, the price goes up to $97. And at the end of this week, Friday, December 18th at midnight, the price will go to $147. So I hope you take advantage of my early opt-in at $77. It will be well worth it. Your child will have their own individualized pre and post fueling plan. I hope you've enjoyed today. You've learned some new tips to begin using today. And I wish you a great afternoon, a great rest of your day, whichever time zone you are in when you're listening to this. And if you have questions, you can type them into the chat box now. I'm going to stop screen sharing and come back on screen to see everybody. Hi, thanks so much for listening today. If questions come up when you're listening to the replay, there is going to be a link in the replay, so you can send me questions that you have. I welcome them. I check my emails throughout the day, so don't hesitate to drop me a line, tell me something that you learned, or ask me a question that you have. I look forward to seeing you on my next webinar and in my class, Get the Competitive Edge in a Weekend. Bye-bye.